We just installed this 24,000 watt whole home backup generator at our vacation rental treehouse. We're very close to Zion National Park and we have guests come from all over the world to stay here. It stays really booked and the power unfortunately goes out quite frequently in this area. So this is an expense that's been long looming on my budget and we finally got it done, but it doesn't end there. We also installed a 10 kW backup generator about 1,000 yards down the mountain here at our well pump. What a pain to have to install 2 generators for continuity of service here, but I'll explain why the numbers make sense and I'll show you the process. Let's get into it. I'm going to show you how we placed these generators, installed them, wired them, but first let me explain why I chose to place it where I did. We just installed this yesterday and we haven't hooked up the gas yet, so I can't show you it running yet. I will make more videos on this, but I do want to show you how we connected it. This is the conduit that runs into the back, and we decided to place it here because it was a relatively short run over to where our meter is. This home is on grid. Our private homestead is on solar and we're off grid up there, but here we're still on grid. And the meter runs over to a pole just over there. This is our glass garage door that goes into where our jacuzzi is for our guests, and there's a lot of attention and activity right here at this area. This is down underneath the main deck that wraps around. I'll show you more of the home here in a second, but this was the quickest run over to where we ended up placing it, and it's right underneath the grand staircase here. So all guests are going to be seeing this generator, but I think it looks nice. It's tucked under here so it'll be protected from snow buildup. You don't want snow piling up against your generator, and that's probably when it'll be running, when we have a big snowstorm. We'll lose power. But also we put it here because the gas line comes up right here. Here's the regulator for the propane, and the propane tank is right there. Originally I was thinking of running it around to a little concrete area over on the side of the house that's 70 feet away. And the more complicated the run, the more expensive the install is. And I just felt ultimately it's better to put it here because it doesn't look that bad. Most people won't even know what it is. Some guests will, but a lot of people don't even know what a backup generator is. They'll think it's an air conditioning unit. I really am quite happy with the way it turned out. Now the gas line will run out of the back here, right along the wall there over to the regulator. So that will be installed shortly. And it is right underneath the main staircase here. It's right by the fire pit over here. So I think if I was worried that it would look too cluttery, I would not have put it here and ran it all the way around the back of the house. But again, this solves multiple problems. We're very close to the gas line, we're very close to the meter, and we're protected underneath the deck from the snow. Treehouse is a really unique property. We're in a remote area here, and these mountains you can see off over in the distance here is Zion National Park. Actually, the West District entrance is right over there. So this is really convenient for our guests to come, stay here, have a home base on 40 private acres. The ranch itself is 106 acres, but you get 40 private acres when you rent this home. All of this here is part of the 40 acres. So you can just walk straight from the door and just hike all the way around this massive property. No neighboring rooftops. It's very private. The 25-foot tall window wall, the views from inside are incredible. The only issue with being out here in this remote area is the power. The power outage is quite frequent. So here's the utility pole that we ran off of. Powers the house. We do have very fast internet, but yeah, this is a really cool property. Now, the other weird thing about this house though, is that the well was placed so far away, and I think that goes all the way back to when this was built in the early 90s. They wanted to put the well down at the lower part of the property, and it's about 1,000 yards away. Water line runs all the way up to the house, and it's too far to connect to this backup generator which is why we had to install a dedicated generator, a 10 kW down by the well pump, and I'll show you that in just a second. But first, real quick, some of you have asked to see inside the home. Now this has been staged by the housekeepers, so I didn't go around and turn all the lights on to make it perfect for this little quick video. You can see this 25-foot window wall and the loft upstairs. That pony wall that runs all the way across is the master bedroom and bath. There's a glass double shower there, so when you're in the shower, you can look over the pony wall out at that amazing view of the Zion Mountains. And downstairs we have the entertainment area, more bedrooms, the jacuzzi, a gym, and all that. So that's just a quick little tour of the inside. Now let's jump into the installation of these generators. The very first thing we need to do is level the ground to put this pad on. So right now we're just trying to position it, figure out where it's going to go. Now notice those boulders and the planter behind them. I want to get those out of there and clean that up. So I'm going to take those boulders out and fill all that with gravel to clean up this area. But yeah, we're just placing this right now. That actually gets filled with water and is rated to 180 mile-an-hour winds. So it looks lightweight. I know that some people use a concrete pad, but this is a composite filled with water, and it works really well. We level this area with a gravel with concrete mix in there. We add a little bit of water, and that hardens and creates the foundation for that pad. I had my backhoe down to remove those boulders I mentioned earlier, and we thought instead of trying to drag the generator up those rock steps over on the other side, we thought let's just lift it up onto this pony wall. It'll be a lot easier this way, and it was. Here's a composite base being filled with water, and we filled that about 70% so that it has room for freezing so the ice can expand and contract. And then the battery sitting over there, that's obviously not shipped with the generator, it's installed separately. And here's a time lapse of me pulling those boulders out of there. In the next clip, you'll see me filling that in with gravel, and I think it cleans it up really nicely. So we lifted the generator up into place and they rolled it over to the pad, which is now leveled and prepped. And then the generator is bolted onto that pad. Once we had the generator secured and in place, it's time to pull the electrical over. And you'll see them putting the conduit in here and also dragging that huge cord. That is a massive harness called Gen cord, and that's got both the electrical wiring as well as the communication cables so that we can remotely monitor this generator from an app on my phone. And that does carry the full load of the house when it's in an emergency operation. Here's a quick look at it installed on the pad. You can see the oil filter down there at the bottom. Relatively easy to change the oil on these. We do have a generator over at our other home, and we've had to do the maintenance on that. I will run this and cycle it and show you how it all works once I get the gas hooked up. I'll do that in a separate video. But now we're just preparing and bringing the wires across. Now we have this weird corner. It's not quite a 45 and it's not a 90, so we ended up putting a piece of flex there. And that's just going to wrap around underneath that drain pipe. And then we use solid conduit for the rest of the run. This little thing is called a smart management module. And what it's doing is it's deleting the jacuzzi from the powered part of the house during an outage when the generator's running, because the jacuzzi is just too consuming of energy. Everything works in the house, the HVAC, heat, all the lights, everything except the jacuzzi.
Essentially the main breaker is now relocated down here. So
right.
It's still the main, so it'll shut off everything.
Including these.
Correct.
Okay. So now if I want to test it, just so the generator comes on, I would kill this.
Yes.
And the generator will it'll sense that as the power's out, because there is no other way to kill the power here now.
Right, yeah, this is your main, so that will, when this is gone, when this stops sensing utility power, this is your contactor for the transferring of the power.
Right.
So when it loses power, it will try to fire the generator.
And does that disconnect power back to the, or no, it wouldn't, we're not feeding back to the pole, we don't have to worry about that.
No, correct. Yeah, that's why this device is in place, because it'll only let, these are your utility loads, and this is the generator. So it'll only let your utility power be powered from your utility or from the generator.
Got it.
So these and this never touch each other, because this is just a giant switch.
Yeah. Wanted to show you this. This is the Gen cord, that harness I was telling you about, and it has markings. So when you pull it out, you can see how many feet off the roll you've pulled. All right, I'm down here by the well with the skid steer. We've got the 10K generator here. We've got our connection, a meter, a separate meter from Treehouse that comes across from a pole over there. And we're gonna run off of that meter into this generator. And that is controlling the well controller that you see off in the distance there. And then just around underneath that, you can't see it because it's behind the box, is the actual casing that goes down into the well. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just clearing out some of this debris. Somebody cut a tree down and just piled it up there. I'm moving all this. I'm gonna level this area out here. We need to put both the generator, and then 10 feet away from that, we need to put the propane tank. You can see we got a little ways to go to lift up this side. You can see probably about 5 inches off of this side over here. So we got everything leveled. They're putting down the concrete for the pad to rest on, and that is Lodge in the background, our other home. It just so happens to be down by the well for Treehouse. What you're looking at here is a slightly different switch. Because we don't have the whole load of the house, we only have the well pump. It's a little bit different than the one you saw earlier. So like the one up at the house, we don't have the gas connected. I'll be putting a 250-gallon tank here, and we'll do another video to show you all of that. I just spent over $25,000 on these 2 Generac generators, and here's the math on why it pays for itself. So there's 2 units, one 24 kilowatt that runs all of Treehouse, the vacation rental itself. That's the HVAC, water heater, lights, the kitchen. You know, you can't cook without power, so we need that for the stove, the oven. And then the 10 kilowatts sits 1,000 yards downhill for the well pump. If the well pump loses power, Treehouse loses water. So the big generator alone doesn't solve that, and it's too far away to connect the 2 together. When people come back from a day in Zion National Park, they've been hiking all day, they're sweaty, they have a whole family, it sleeps up to 11 people. Without water, they can't use the toilets, they can't flush, they can't wash, they can't do anything. So it's really an uncomfortable, miserable situation, and they're gonna complain right away because we know this has happened to us before. The second part of this equation is the Airbnb Superhost status that I can lose if I get a low star rating. We're straight 5 stars right now, so we have the Superhost status, which gives us higher visibility on the platform. We get more bookings, as much as 20 to 30% more visibility. That translates into a lot more conversions. So if we lose our badge, we significantly are at risk of losing bookings. And it doesn't take many bookings at $400 to $600 a night to pay for this generator. The other part is the stress that we have to endure during the whole ordeal. And this has happened before. We had a lightning strike that took out 2 of our well controllers. So we had our long-term tenant without water, and we had a guest that was from, I think they were from Idaho. A whole family, same scenario. They'd been at the park all day. They couldn't shower, they couldn't cook, they couldn't flush the toilets. So we had to put them, drop everything. And it was an emergency process to find a hotel for them and to get them placed into a new location. And then even though we were able to get the well controller fixed during their stay, because they were there for a whole week, we were able to bring them back to Treehouse. They were upset about everything. So that I never want to live through again. When you add all of that together, it doesn't make sense for a remote, higher priced experience like this not to have backup power. People expect that, and I think it's the right thing to do for the ranch. And I think it will help perpetuate our straight 5-star status and all the referrals and return guests that we get as a result of that.